Hi friends, welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. I'm Rita, and here today I am going to share with you my 6 favorite go-to adhesives. Now there are more in the online catalog, but these are the 6 that I use on a fairly regular basis. So I'm going to go ahead and start out today with my adhesive of preference. And as we get started here, I just wanted to remind you that your likes, the like button and the heart button are nice for you to just share. You know, if you like the content, go ahead and click that button. And also shout out hello that you're here sharing time with me. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that bell icon, and then you'll be notified of any content I upload. So, to the favorite adhesive, or the adhesive of preference. I like all the adhesives, so I'm not sure the word favorite is a good one, but this is the adhesive that I go to or I use the most often. And there are a couple of reasons. So, the first reason is that it's easier for me to use, and it's not messy. So, I just tend to grab for it. Now, this is called the Stamp & Seal Plus. So this is supposed to be the strongest of these adhesives. Sorry, it is like a tape runner. So it is very, very strong. So if you adhere this to your cardstock, then it is going to hold. But this, even though this is my preference, it isn't always the best. It shouldn't be used in every application is what I'd like to share. So I'm going to share when I would maybe not use it and when I do use it. But first, let me tell you about the Stamp & Seal Plus. We do also have, just to clarify, we do also have a Stamp & Seal that is a little lighter. It's a lighter green cartridge in here. It comes in this case. Now this case, of course, it's not going to work for me right now, and I have a lot of lotion on my hands. But so the tape runner comes in this cartridge, and it's refillable. So once you buy the cartridge, you can just get the refills, and you don't have to buy the cartridge again. That is true with the regular Stamp & Seal. Both are very strong. This is supposed to be stronger, and for me, I only have the Seal Plus in my craft space, and that's just because of kind of how I am. I don't, if they both do the same job and this is supposed to be the stronger, I just don't store the other. But that is not to say that it is not a great product. Obviously it is. It's just a personal preference. But the refills are cheaper and they're very easy to load. And so what happens is when you buy your refill, it comes in a plastic bag. And then when you go to put it in your cartridge, you're going to keep in mind these holes here. And you're just going to line it up and let's see here. Why am I having a hard time? And then once you load it in here, it really can only fit one way. So once you get those holes lined up with the little pegs on the bottom of the cartridge, and then you just snap it together. Sometimes you'll hear the snap and sometimes you won't. But let me show you how it works. So here we go. I'd like to just demonstrate that. Now, one thing I did want to tell you for sure is this silicone mat is a must in my craft room, and I'll tell you why. When I'm crafting, I'm like on a roll, and I usually try to do it in some sort of order, like stamping and then die cutting and then putting together. What I don't want to do is to get this sticky adhesive on my work surface, and then I lay my card that I'm, put so much time and effort into, and it's got sticky all on it. So this silicone mat protects my work surface. And so whether you have the Stamp and Seal or you have liquid glue or whichever adhesive you're using, even hot glue won't stick to this mat. So, you know, it is a perfect size for mostly what we're doing. So it really does protect your work surface. I really think this is a must. I don't think you can go wrong with it. Now let's go back to the adhesive. So sometimes it takes a little while to get used to the runner. It did me. Sometimes it won't, like, well, it just did now, because I was going to tell you sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes you have to just adjust the tape inside and move it up a little. But what you're going to do is you're just going to glide it along. You don't want to do this. You want to just have it kind of down. And when you get to the end, you just like a check mark, right? And so I hope that you can see this adhesive on here. It's kind of shiny. And so you can see that it comes in a straight row. It really is little bits of adhesive, so you know you can stop it wherever you want. Sometimes when you're adhering things, it takes like just a little bit, so you can do that. Now, if it comes off your paper, I don't know if you can see this, then all you need to do is just fold it over and you don't have that stickiness coming out. So, my favorite, the Stamp and Seal. Once you buy the case, you can just buy the refills. I think because I use this every day, when I make my purchases, I get a few refills so I don't have to go without. And I'll tell you, I'll be very transparent with you. There have been times where I ran out of the Stamp and Seal. I did have like an old tape runner here in my studio. It is not the same quality. I'm here to tell you, if you don't believe me, try it out, but it's not the same quality. So Stamp and Seal plus my favorite. The next thing that I use in my craft room is the liquid glue. So this is Tombow liquid glue. It's in my online store. It's called multi-purpose liquid glue. It's probably the least expensive of all of the glues that we have. The thing with this glue is it's taken a while for me to become friends, to have a relationship with this glue, because this glue is one that you don't need to use very much. A little goes a long way, and it does if you get it close to the edges, it will ooze out when you put your layers down, and then you have a sticky mess. I am going to tell you how to fix that though when it happens. But it has a tip where you can use this tip, and it also has this tip. I don't think I've ever used the bottom tip, so I don't. But the one thing to remember, excuse me, about this glue is that you need to store it upside down. And so I just keep it in this little plastic container, and there are some very fancy little stands that you can purchase, I think on Amazon or somewhere. You can purchase, I think they're pretty available. You can even put it like in a prescription bottle. I've used that before. But here's the thing, I can put several glue bottles upside down like this, because sometimes I forget to turn it upside down, and when I've had it sitting straight up, it gets a little hard to get the glue out. And also, you want to get every bit of goodness in this bottle that you can get. And so if it's standing upside down, then that's going to help you to get every bit of glue that's in here. All right, let's talk about how we use this. So the best way, like I said, is to use not very much. So I've heard the term use it like a spider web. And I'm hoping for video's sake that I can do this, because I'm going to tell you, well, let's just not talk about it. So, okay, so you want just a little bit, and then you can just do just like a spider thing. This will stick to any of your cards, your layers, and that will work. That will be plenty. You may want to get on the edges here, But if you do something like this, when you go to stick that down on your paper, it's going to squeeze out. Let me get, I don't want to use my grate paper. Let's see here. When you stick it down, it is going to ooze out. And then you'll have sticky glue here. When it dries, you really can't see it, but you can feel it. And to me, it's kind of embarrassing to send a card to someone and they can feel, you know, the stickiness. So there is a glue eraser, and of course I'm looking for it. Let's see where here it is. So there is what we call a little glue eraser. These last forever. You can't get it in my online store, but you can get it through Amazon, I believe, has them. Sometimes at some of the hobby stores like Hobby Lobby or Michael's, you might be able to find it. But these last forever. So once you purchase it, I really doubt that unless you just want an extra, that you're going to really need to purchase another. So you just kind of keep the rubbery glue off the tips, and then you're just going to rub where the glue has oozed out. You're just going to rub it like this, just like if you were erasing, and that glue will come off and you won't have that sticky part. Now remember, I had glue on here and I stuck it on my mat, so I can feel that it's sticky. Let's see if you can see the glue, and it's on there. Well, maybe you can't see it, but there is a little bit right there. When that dries, I'll just rub it off if I'm not going to put anything else on here. But the good thing about it is it's not on my surface, so I can, and I do, just take it and rub it off just like this. Sometimes I can't wait for it to dry, and I just rub it off like this, and now I don't have sticky on my mat. So there are some times when liquid glue is a better option than the Seal, a Stampin' Seal Plus for me. Because if I'm doing 3D projects, it may be easier to use the glue because it gives me time to manipulate my project. And so let's try that again. I'll just rip that off so we don't have to use a lot of precious paper. But so say I am wanting to put that on here, this little piece. So I'm going to spider it, right? I almost put too much there. And so I'm trying to line it up, let's say, and it maybe isn't perfect, right? But with the glue, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So you can manipulate your layers until you're happy with how they are. Now it does dry or stick fairly quickly, but you do have just a little bit of time to maneuver your layers. So that's when this is great. So if you're making those boxes where you need to maneuver the tab so that your corners are square and flush, then this is the thing. This is instant. So if you're using your adhesive, you get one chance to get it right, and that's it. So even though this is the adhesive of preference, for me, this comes in quite handy sometimes. So definitely for those 3D projects, and also just for other things, I will sometimes use my liquid glue. When I'm doing my videos, I will usually use the liquid glue because it gives me that wiggle time. And so this is also the least expensive of all the adhesives. So we're going to put that aside, and then I wanted to talk to you about something else that I really like, and that is the tear and tape. So this is double-sided tape, and it has, on one side is the sticky, on the other side it has the like the wax paper or the release paper on it. What's great about this, and I use this for my bags and boxes too, because it is very strong and you can just lay it down. So if I'm doing a box that has like reinforced edges, this is great because I can, as I'm getting ready to put it together, I can go ahead and put this on, and then when I'm ready to fold it, all I have to do is release that release paper. And it's very easy. All you do is you lay it down, and then once you've got it down, I take my Take-A-Pick tool and just pick up that release paper and peel it off. Many people can just use their fingertips, whatever works. And then when you fold it over, you can see that it holds it down. So there are some times when this is really it makes more sense to use the tape runner or the tape, the tear and tape, than these other two. So even though, back to the same saying, even though this is my preference, there are times that the tear and tape make more sense. All right, so we've talked about 3. There's another adhesive I wanted to share with you, and that is the glue dots. So these glue dots are very small. That's little bits of adhesive on this wax paper, and you just kind of peel it. I sometimes have to feel for it because in these lights here in my studio, they're very bright and it's kind of hard. I have to adjust it so I can see it, but I'll just take my Take-A-Pick tool and then I'll just put it on here. And you can kind of see it, I think. Let's see. You can kind of see that little sticky thing on the tip of my Take-Your-Pick tool. And then you would just put it down, and then you can put your, whatever you're going to put, you can just put on there. The other thing that you can do, if you don't want to do that, and many people do, it's just a preference really, is sometimes people would like to just take whatever they're going to stick on here, and they'll just take this to the glue dot, press it on, they'll get glue on the back, and then there you go. So this comes in a big roll and in a box, so I use them all the time. This is absolutely necessary when you're doing those bows that you make out of the twine or even ribbon, because that little dot of glue is going to stick the bow or the twine on your card, and you're not going to see that glue. This would take a while to, not a while, but this would tend to be messier, and then you don't have that tiny little bit of adhesive from this. So I like to use my glue dots. The other thing too is you can roll the glue dot either like in a little burrito or even in a little ball if you need to make it smaller. So for those very, very small things that you want to add to your card, this is perfect. So that's what I use this for. So you can see that each adhesive has its purpose. Now, there is another adhesive that I like, and that is the dimensionals. So they come in a package like this, so they have 3 little cards of dimensionals in them. And these are the regular size of dimensionals. So this one you can see is used. So I just kind of, when they're new, just kind of, kind of bend them a little bit, and you can see where they start. They're kind of like a octagon or actually a pentagon, so they're 5-sided. And then you can just take your dimensional, and you can use your Take-A-Pick tool. I usually just use my fingers. You can add it to your, that's why I usually use my fingers. You can add it to your card. So this would be like if you want something to have definition and you want it to be raised up on your card and give it some dimension, that's when you're going to use these. And then you can take this release paper that's on the top and just remove it with your Take-A-Pick tool. Again, I usually just use my fingers. And then whatever you're going to add to the top there, some whatever sort of Well, let me just go ahead and do this just to show you. So we already have one of the dimensionals. Let me use 3 more here. Okay, so then I would just take off the release paper. Now these I'm going to tell you right now, in my household, they seem to appear everywhere. They've even appeared in my dog's tooth one time. But so you can just put your, your sentiment, or even sometimes I'll put the top layer on dimensionals, but you can see that it gives it a raised look. And so these come in white. They also come in black. So sometimes it's appropriate to use the black. I'm out of them today, but sometimes it's appropriate to use the black. So if I had, if I was putting this down and making a card, you could kind of see the white dimensionals. But if I were using the black dimensionals, then you would not be able to see them. So, that's something to consider. Now, not only do we have the regular size dimensionals, but we also have the small dimensionals. So I'm going to get one, and I'm going to put it next to, let's see here, I'm going to put it next to the regular size so you can see the difference. So there's the small one. Now we'll get the regular one. And you can see the difference. So, if I run out of the small ones and I need one, I will cut the regular one in half. But I really do prefer to have one dimensional. It's just easier for me to, have everything like I want it. And also you'll see on both of these dimensionals, you get to the end and you have, you don't have that pentagon shape anymore. So you can take your scissors and just cut this and still use these. You could you just use everything on this paper and just get your money's worth. These are not expensive though. So if I forget, if somehow this ended up in the trash can, I wouldn't be too upset because that's okay. You can also, I wanted to show you this. You can also just cut this if you're, you just need a strip. Then you can just cut and you have the strip, and then just peel off the release paper, and there you go. Well, I'm all thumbs today. Let's see. All right. So the dimensionals are very, very much part of my craft studio. I couldn't really, I don't think, craft without them and be happy about it. Everything would be flat. And while a lot of times, especially when I donate to the senior citizens home, I do try to keep things flat just so that there's not a postage issue. But, for a card that I'm going to be responsible for mailing, I will use these, definitely. All right, so we've talked about the stamp and seal, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then there's one more adhesive that I use on a regular basis in my studio, and that is the adhesive sheets. So the adhesive sheets come in these big sheets like this. And there's 12 sheets in the package. And you know what these are great for is when you're doing a sentiment. You can take your cardstock and let's see, I'll show you. So you just, this peels. So it's double-sided. So you could just like peel this back and then put your, let me grab a scrap paper here. I want to get a dark one so you can see. Well, I already have one. Isn't that neat? So I was using the Sending Smiles stamp set, and I had cut out the die for that says sending. And before I did that, I just put this adhesive sheet on the back of my cardstock, and then so this side, until you peel that back, is not sticky, right? It's like it's the release paper, just like on the tear and tape. And then once you run it through the die cutting machine, you can just peel it from the back of your Word. I'm going to see if I can peel this. And it leaves sticky on this cardstock. So I'm just going to peel this, and we're going to glue it. See how it just comes off? If it were a word, it would just come off and you would have your word. So especially when those words that you're die cutting, or those even numbers and letters, when you're die cutting them, sometimes they're kind of hard to get the glue, especially where you want it. So doing this, die cutting them this way is a perfect solution. Also, when I'm doing like individual alphabet letters to make a word, I usually like to do several layers. So I might do, if I was doing hello, I might cut 2 white H's, and then the H that I cut out of my colored cardstock, I would just layer them. That gives them a lot of dimension. So this these adhesive sheets are awesome for that. So we'll just go ahead and stick it, and you can see that it's stuck. So that's perfect for you know, those letters that you're die cutting, or even objects that you're die cutting, and that you want that adhesive on there when you go to adhere them to whatever. Now, there is one other adhesive, and I don't use it very often, and but I will tell you, this is our super fine. It's a fine tip bottle, so it's the liquid glue that you can use in this fine tip. Now, I'm going to tell you I don't have very much left, and I also lost, there's like a cap that goes on here. I have lost it, so I have this straight pin stuck in here. And so let's see if I can get some to come out for you, because there's not very much left. I don't think it's gonna, I haven't been storing it upside down either. It's not gonna come out, but there's some in there. And this is how I store it. So I just keep, you wouldn't have to do this if you didn't lose that top, but I did. So I've got a straight pin in it. What I also have done for the fine tip is I've also taken this little container. I'm thinking where I got it. I think I might have gotten it on Amazon, or I might have actually picked it up at Michael's. So it's a little plastic bottle, and it has this very fine tip on it. Let's see, can you see it? And so then it has this little lid that you know, goes on top, so it keeps it, let's see, I didn't put it on right. So it keeps the glue fresh, and you do want to store this sitting straight up. But what I've done is I've taken some Tombow glue and put it in this container, and then when I need it, it doesn't usually do that. It's just it was a little bit plugged, and when the pressure made the lid kind of come off. But that's just a faux pas on my part. It doesn't usually do that. I'll have to unstick it. Wow, that's embarrassing. But I have put this glue in here so that I can use it on those small letters. But I really prefer to use the adhesive sheets other than this, because that very kind of thing can happen if you're not careful. So good thing I wasn't putting this on a card. I'd be a little upset at myself. Okay, so I just wanted to show and share those adhesives with you, and you know, you can choose whatever adhesive is right for you. I mean, it could be your preference, but I am going to tell you that you probably will want more than one of the adhesives, and you know, you're probably going to want the tear and tape and the dimensionals. So I just wanted you to know that was available. If you are new to paper crafting, then just know what each how it works and what you can do with it. And then also I just quickly wanted to tell you while we're here is that you may want to hop on over to ritaspapermotif.com because there's a lot of things that are going on, and I feel compelled to tell you today just so that you know, and that is there's a bonus sale that's going to be going on. It starts the 6th, and so for every purchase that you make in my online store, Stampin' Up! Is going to give you a $5 coupon, and for every $50 that you spend, they'll give you a $5 coupon, and you can earn as many coupons as you want, so it's unlimited. And then in August, you can redeem those coupons for product. So that's a nice sale. That does start the 6th of July and goes through the end of July, and then you use your coupons in August. So that's actually 1 month of shopping and earning and 1 month of redeeming. So good deal. Also, I wanted to remind you of our stamp camp that also starts on the 10th. We are doing giveaways. We're just going to have a good time. We're going to look at different things. The classes, it's going to be all week long, and the classes will involve technique, fun folds, kits. We're going to start it out with a craft room tour, and I'm almost finished with refreshing my studio, so that will be good. And so that goes through that whole week. Now, when you make your purchases in my online store, starting from the 27th of June through the 14th of July, I will be donating the proceeds to the Northern Nevada Junior Golf Association and just helping out with that trip that they're taking to British Columbia at the end of July. So know that too. And then also, I just wanted to tell you, today is the last day to get in on that sale for the Designer Series paper at 15% off. And as always, I want to thank you for sharing your time with me today, and you all have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, and bye.